Hello everyone, Doug Tyler filling in for Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another episode of Myth Busting Mondays. And for today's final myth, we're going to be finding out if the boomer's explosion is able to cause large objects to move. So without further ado, let's get into this week's episode. Myth: can you cut a smoker's tongue with the van on dead air? Alright guys, the first myth of today's episode is being submitted in by Colbursco, and we're here on dead air in the terminal. We've got this mesh fence set up so the smoker can grab me, but not drag me. And we're having Colbursco activate the van. And as you guys can see from all these angles, the van just phases right through his tongue, meaning myth 1 is busted. Myth: can a boomer's explosion set off other explosives? Alright guys, the second myth of today's video is being submitted in by Dr. Zed, also known as Dan. And what he wants to know is if causing a boomer to explode will set off other explosives like gas cans and propane tanks. Which, coming from Dan, the master of explosives and PC crashes, I'm not surprised he wants us to test this. But as you guys can see, we have this boomer surrounded in enough explosives to level the entire state of Pennsylvania, and we're going to set him off. And as you can see, surprisingly, he does cause other explosives to ignite. We did test this a second time just to make sure I didn't accidentally shoot a gas can or something by accident, but nope. His explosion is just able to ignite other explosives, meaning myth 2 is confirmed. Myth: are survivors immune to acid damage while being pulled by a smoker's tongue? The third myth of today's video is being submitted in by Zoe. So we've got everything set up here. Colbursco is going to be pulled by the smoker, and I'm going to be spawning in acid pools at his feet. And as you can see, the acid is causing Colbursco to take damage while being dragged. We know this because you do not take damage from a smoker's tongue until you are dragged up to him, meaning Colbursco can only be taking damage from the acid pools, which makes myth 3 of this video busted. Myth: can a spitter's acid ball bounce off of multiple walls? Myth 4 of today's video is being submitted in by Zaku, and to test this myth, we wanted to find a small corridor with narrow hallways to see if we can cause the acid ball to bounce, which is why we chose dead center. As you can see from our first attempt, we managed to get the ball to bounce off of one wall, but it didn't quite reach the other one, so we at least know so far that this myth is plausible. So we moved over a bit to test out the bathroom corridor, so it's slightly more narrow than the original hallway. When looking through Dan's point of view as the spitter, we can see that the acid ball does bounce backwards. But when looking through my point of view again, we see that it doesn't quite hit the other wall. We know we're getting close, but we're not quite there yet, meaning that so far it's still plausible. But once we got to our second test here in the bathroom, we can see that the ball is able to bounce, but once it hits the second wall, it just falls to the ground, meaning myth 4 is busted. Alright guys, we're now on to the final myth, which is being submitted in by, hey, look, it's me. All jokes aside, let's get into the final myth. Myth: can a boomer's explosion cause large objects to move? For the final myth of today's video, I was wanting to see if the boomer's explosion is thick enough to move this container here, but we were getting really weird results with it because the boomers were clipping into it and causing it to jitter around. So we decided to move on to another large movable prop, the alarmed car. Besides setting off the alarms, the boomers didn't seem to move the car whatsoever. Though hope was starting to be lost, we did have one more idea. So we booted up dead center and found this dumpster on the streets here. So I had Dan do his thing and spawn in more fat men than you'd see at your average Discord mod meetup. And as they explode, we can see that, yes, the dumpster does indeed move ever so slightly. We tested this multiple times, and every time we did, we got the same result, meaning that the final myth of today's video is confirmed. That's all for today's video. I hope you guys ended up enjoying the video. If you did, consider liking the video and subscribing. I also wanted to mention at the end of the video that June 5th this year will mark episode 100 of Myth Busting Mondays. So if you want to submit your craziest and most exciting myths, you can do so both in the comments of this video or in the Myth Busting channel in the official Black Ninja 797 Discord server. Just make sure to include the hashtag MBM episode 100 in your comment. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed another video from the guy filling in for the most unique YouTuber you guys are ever going to see. I love you all, and peace out.
Hey meme lords, Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!